Hello, everybody. So this would be the third time of me explaining. So, like the first time we were just talking, and then we just got into it, and then the second time, I was like, "All right, we got to record this," and we recorded it, but then I forgot to turn on the audio. So then we were talking, and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah," yeah. And I was like, "Wait a minute, oh snaps!" Because I usually listen to like podcasts or music or something. I don't want people to have to listen to that, or I don't have to worry about editing that at later. Anyway, so my bad. So I'll just kind of again briefly explain what we were talking about both times, which is, um, you know, Carlos made it very clear to me that they want to push the quality because they're in no hurry. They appreciate the speed in which these are coming in, and they're very grateful for that. But at the same time, they're like you slow down, like just make them really nice, like it's fine. Um,
Yeah,
and then I also,
being
oh, go ahead.
being simultaneously the designers and the publishers
Uh-huh.
give us the freedom to choose the speed we want to go for.
Okay,
So that's why we have this opportunity
that's great.
with
So
the times.
so which is really good. That's hard. That doesn't happen too often. I'm used to the other way around. That's probably why I'm like, "Oh, I got you guys. I got you guys. Um, but I also suggested that I could do a lot of the thumbnails, like just do thumbnails of like every character possible, or as many characters as possible, so we could start seeing the alignment of all the characters together. I think that's actually not a bad idea, but with the idea with the scope of rendering each one to a really great polish once we've like really approved them all as a cast. That was my suggestion, and that's kind of where we left off. Uh, and then I think Carlos approves, but like he's still like you really want the polish. I see one of your you're looking at one of my images. I think and you're using that as an example, and I agree. I was actually looking at that the other day too. I was like, maybe I can go back and really push some of these even further.
And actually, I was trying to tell you that we should take this armor and put it in one of those corbos.
Okay, done. Just make it. Just create a design, right? Just make a design, like backwards engineer it. Just like take this image, create a design around it, and then I'll just redraw. And then we're done.
Yeah. So easier, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And here's.
So actually,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm fine. I'm
No, no.
fine. I was gonna say
Okay, so
if you see if you see any images of mine that you feel like there's a lot of it, because a lot of my images on my ArtStation, for instance, and even on my portfolio or my personal work, I have no problems of like repurposing it or like normally this actually happens to me where people will email me and then they'll be like, hey, can we buy the license to this image so that they actually
yeah.
can use it for their board game or their card game, and I generally say no, but yeah, just because I don't know like what they're gonna use it for. Uh, Not always. Like, sometimes I can tell like these people are just like just starting out. They're really just like they're very innocent, and their ambitions or their motives are very pure. I can tell they just want art that they can use. Um, but other people I can tell they're just like they don't have no appreciation for the artist and don't care, and they just want to like take it and just like use it. Um, I have a good friend actually who's suing a huge company because of this, because they just like took his artwork straight up, yeah, and just started using it without his permission at all, which is like the worst. Which would be my advice to all you guys. It doesn't matter if you think you're a small fry, you can take on the big fries. It's your work. It's your
Yeah.
work. So
Always get a contract.
yeah, but I mean, even if it, like, here's the thing, especially specifically in America, if someone were to just take this artwork, even though there's no contract, even though there's no registered copyright to this image, right? I still have the power to fight because there's a lot of documentation, there's a lot of evidence in my favor, even if that's not registered. So that's just something that you guys might consider. And that's definitely here in America. I don't know how it is in different countries. I know, like for instance, China. I don't know much about China's policies on this, but like I know they like literally just copy paste a lot of American franchises and ideas and games and projects. Like literally, like like it looks exactly like the project that they're stealing from. And they do it and they keep doing it. So there's clearly something different about their system, or maybe there's like a foreign policy difference in terms of copyright laws. But anyways, with that being
Have
said,
to try as well, yes.
yeah. But with that being said, yeah, dude, you just let me know, because most of these images I just draw for the sake of just drawing for fun.
Okay.
So if we could repurpose it,
So,
that'd be actually really cool. And then the fee of the freelance would just be kind of like a licensing fee at that point. It wouldn't really be like contracted work. It would just be okay. I just make this image for you guys, or this is images for you
so
guys for your project.
working on what you were saying at the beginning about
Okay.
going and making all of the sketches first.
Okay.
Actually, I was coming today with a similar idea.
Okay.
So I was thinking that maybe we are taking the wrong approach. We're doing illustration per illustration, but we haven't created the feeling, we haven't created exactly the look for Corvo. And I think we should do that instead of keep going making new characters.
Okay.
So my idea, uh, which also works with yours, so I think it's a good idea to make all the sketches. But my idea was a little bit of a different approach, which was, do you know how the game is going to come in a box? It's going to come in a box, it's probably going
Hmm.
to be 30 by 30 centimeters,
Okay.
something like this. And it's going to have a cover image, which will be like the image of Corvo, you know? So when people see it in the stores, that's
Yeah.
Corvo. When
Gotcha.
people see it in their houses, that's Corvo. So I was thinking that maybe we should design that image
Okay.
because it will tell what is Corvo. It will tell it to the people who see the image, and it will also tell it to us.
Gotcha. I agree. So this is like so what you're saying, from what I'm getting, is like what we call this is like blue sky period. And I think you're right. Maybe that's what we should have done in the beginning. And the blue sky period for those of you who might not know, and just so I can explain it to you, Carlos, maybe we're on the same page, is where your focus is less on the individual assets of the game, but more on the grand scope of the project, right? Like so, for instance, when I was working on StarCraft, we had a blue sky period, and what we did was just designing the feel of the cinematic, and I just did a bunch of these little boards and stuff, and they were really loose and really sketchy, but it really gave us a good sense thematically, cinematically, how it would be perceived. And then from there, you say, okay, well now you give this to the matte painters. Now you give this to, so basically like high concept. Like I think that's you're right. We didn't really do a high concept phase, which is good
Yeah,
because that might imply that the work that we did previously, with the first five characters, although they're great, there could be a potential that they may be completely redesigned just because we realize the vision's better and bigger. That could happen, or more importantly, we have a more valuable way of approaching um, future characters. And I think this is what I was like kind of flirting with in the beginning, but now hearing it from you, I think we should definitely do that. And I would actually
yeah,
suggest something else too. What we can do is we can actually, what I would actually propose is that we would also design kind of each race's like attire a little more thoroughly. Like,
yeah.
and just like in a very basic level. I'm not gonna go super detailed in this. I'll show you. I'll just do a demonstration just to explain to you what it is, and we'll talk about it when I show it to you. I'll pitch you what I mean. Um, but like it's going back to the shape language stuff, and what this will be useful for you guys in the future is that if we cement this early on, it might be really useful if you guys decide to do expansions. Like if you do expansions, then it's going to be really easy, especially if I'm still around. It's going to be really easy for me to either art direct other artists or
What do
if
you mean you still around? Are you going to die or something?
huh?
Are you? Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Yeah, it's fine. I thought I got it, but then I was like, wait, I'm not sure what he meant by that joke. But but like it will be a good cement maker, right? Have you ever seen the Valve like character design sheet that they've made? You know Valve, the video game company.
Bow?
Valve, the guys who made the folks who made sorry, I'm like as I'm typing and looking this up. Okay, I found it. Awesome. The guys who made like uh, you know what is it? Half Life 1 and 2,
Oh, Bow.
they
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
made
yeah.
Counter Strike, Dota. So here, check this out.
I think I am sharing the screen at the moment.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sending it to you in the link. Just check it out. So this is like an 18 page. I'm not saying we should do an 18-page thing. It might end
Uh-huh.
up becoming an 18-page thing just with your words and lettering, but it talks about like silhouette. It talks about value gradation. You know, if you go down further, it talks about like color and patterns, saturation, and this is like a tools that they gave out to the public because they actually open source their character assets so that anybody
Uh-huh.
can like try to make characters that will actually be or skins for characters that would actually be made in the game and used and
Oh yeah, like Team
bought by
Fortress kind of thing.
yeah bought by real people. And if there's a percentage to that too, like so if you designed like if you let's say me and a friend got together, I designed a character and then my friend modeled it, and then we put it onto Steam, and people buy it, we get a percentage share on the character. And what they wanted to do was to teach people um, how that is done on their end.
Yeah.
And then you can see like well, this is very well written, well drawn out, and it's a really good like
Yeah, it's very
guide.
interesting.
And this is what I'm thinking.
I,
This is kind of what I'm pitching. Is basically maybe this is what we should do, right?
yeah, I especially like the silhouettes stuff. I think that is great for a miniatures game.
Yeah, I mean, this
I
is my
think
point.
it
Like
helps.
this will be the whole strategy, right? Like this, the strategy maybe would be let's take a pause in the character development. I agree, and then just
Yeah.
develop a style, like a style guide. We'll just call it for style guide right now, and then the style guide will be easier for us, not just for you but also for me, to all stay objective in terms of our direction and our feedback. And then when we start making the
Yeah.
models, same thing. And this will be so that we work on together, of course. But this will be very valuable to the game and to your team to continuously make things like this. Um,
Yeah.
because
I
then, like
think
you
I
said,
think I took the wrong approach at the beginning because we
okay,
worked together already on faith,
uh huh,
and this is based on faith. So I kind of have this idea, but I think Corval is
should be different.
its own game, is its own game, and
Yeah,
it deserves to be treated as such. And I think we should uh, try to go that extra mile, as you were mentioning. Yeah.
yeah. And just to confirm, I'm gonna try to show you some. I'm gonna send you some reference right now, just to give you an idea of kind of how I'm thinking about this, so that way you can. I think you're on the right track of where I'm at too. So I don't think we're in a disagreement. Uh, but I want to just be sure, and the best way to be sure is to show visual
Mm-hmm.
reference. Right? Hold on. I'm trying to find another good reference image. This is pretty good. So I sent you one link, and I'm sending you another link. This is basically Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so the obvious thing here is that this is all from the same universe. This is all the same kind of franchise. Here's another
Mm-hmm.
image, just so the viewers can see what I found and sent you. Um, so that's like the movie, and obviously we have the old '80s TV show or '70s TV show. I'm not sure what year it was out. But then here's like the latest ones that came out. Like there's a TV show that they made was animated, but 3D animated, and then there's like the 2D
Yeah.
animated one, and they all have clear and different styles. But you know that's Bumblebee and Optimus. You know, I
Yeah.
mean even back in the day, like in the '90s, they had like Beast Wars and stuff like that, like parallel universes and stuff. So what I'm trying to basically what I'm trying to say is that we could flirt with the idea that this could be a completely different style, right? It could be a lot more fun. It can be a lot more energetic, right?
Yeah.
And what I'll do is just what I'll give to you guys by Thursday is just a design like a first round pitch on the design aesthetics for each class, for the kind of suits that could be worn, from the even kind of from the style that it looks, you know, kind of like what you gave me in the beginning. You gave me like this cool style guide, like reference and stuff. I'm gonna give back to
Mm-hmm.
you, but like with my impressions of what it could be, and I'm gonna find examples of stuff that I think would make sense. So then, when people, like you said it yourself, like when people see the board game, they should get a very clear idea of what they're getting into, right?
Yeah.
Because what is that game called? It's like Fight for Tokyo or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm,
Board game. Oh, King of Tokyo.
King of Tokyo. Yeah, I know King of Tokyo.
Yeah. So I got that game, and me and my family, we play it every once in a while. We like it a lot. But there's like very clear, and I'm not saying that we should go cartoony or anything. Here, I'm trying to find a good image that you can see, share with everybody else. Okay, here we go. Found you one. There it is. And then obviously the quality would be much better. No offense to the artist or the team that worked on this cover. I'm just saying there's a very clear audience. It's like, you know, 8 years old and older. You know, it's a really
Yeah,
fast-paced game, and it's a little bit, you know, it's not trying to, um, it's not trying to be something it's not. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's really focused on a very clear audience. Where Faith, it makes sense to me because Faith is clearly like this more high or like uh, more hardcore board gamers, right? Where I think Corball might be a little less of that. I think it's still hardcore, but it's like, you know, it's getting closer to where people might transition. It seems like it would be like just from the pitch that you gave to me. It seems like a little bit more
yeah,
exciting, right? And
yeah.
which reminds me of games like that I'm into. Um, Here, hold on, just a second. Like games like this with it's oh, this is a really bad image. Let me look for a better image. This is called Betrayal at House on the Hill. Have you heard of
Hmm?
it? Here, I'll send it to you. Where the image is a little bit more serious. Like the board game is a lot more like when you look at this, you're like, okay, this is a little bit more mature, and you can tell the game is itself aged 12 and over. So
Yeah,
like the marketing of it is clear, and it's like a little bit more serious, and it makes more sense. You know, like this ain't Clue. You're not gonna you're not gonna play yourself a game of Clue right now. You know.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, I think Corball, as you said, is for more for mature audience, but it's also pop. It's a little
yeah,
bit tongue in the cheek in the sense that is sports
yeah,
on asteroids
yeah,
actually happening in a place where there are actually asteroids. So I think we can find a very attractive look
okay,
for it.
okay, cool.
And I was actually thinking about because I was showing the images you did to friends and talking about them,
Uh huh.
and I think one thing that came to my mind is that they could be for a war game. They
Yeah,
like one of them has a ball, but this very well could be a sorcerer, and he could very well be a fighter. They just don't have rifles, and I think we could give it a little bit more of a sports look. You know how people in sports today they wear all these brands on their clothing and things like that. I think we
yeah,
could add something like that
yeah,
because
totally.
Corvo is based in the Corvo universe. This species is hyper capitalistic. They are all for consumerism. They just keep buying stuff, consuming, consuming. So I think these guys can can have that in them. They could have Corvo Cola symbols,
Corvacola.
uh,
I
stuff
love it.
like that.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm gonna write down some stuff. Okay, so I agree with you 100%. So looking back at the image that you found of mine makes a lot more sense because even when I designed that, I was thinking because we were working on this project kind of before we started because we were talking, right? And I did that image
Hmm.
just as a kind of like a clue to what it could be. And I think when we talked about how to get started and gave me this direction, I started going, but I just was focused on like making it fit in the universe of faith, less of making
Yeah,
it Corbel the game. I think it's the characters and players are of faith, and I think we should keep that the same. And maybe you're right.
yeah,
Maybe that should be the only thing. Outside of that, it's like it's its own game. You know,
hmm,
just like those Transformers examples, like that's still Optimus Prime, but it's clearly this is for 4 year olds version. You know, so here's what I'm gonna try to do. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna design, um, and I'm just gonna ignore kind of like the characters that you've already sent me. I'm just gonna design like just the aesthetics of the game, okay? And so what I'm gonna try to do then is just design like each of the races, the four races, right?
Hmm.
A male and female version, right? Just their suits. Just like what it talks about in shapes, I'm gonna like break it down just like that valve thing, which is silhouette, like why I chose the colors. I'm gonna try to write it out for you and everything, just trying to make it very
Okay.
clear. I mean, this if it may take more time, I think you said is fine. But I'm gonna try to get to you at least no later than Friday of this week. I'm gonna be honest
Hmm.
because if I'm gonna do all this might be a little bit more work, right? But it'll be worth it though. That's my point. Like it'll be worth really like seeing and then going from there rather than from here where we're at right now, right? And then we
Yeah.
can repurpose a lot of what I've already done based off of the new feedback.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
These
right?
illustrations, I think they are fantastic.
I
And
think we can repurpose them. I don't think we can have them scrap them entirely.
no,
Um,
no, no, of course not.
okay.
I really like them, but I think we can give them that extra
Yeah.
corbel
Yeah.
feel.
Gotcha. So male and female version suits like, and this is gonna be like relatively rough. It's just gonna be focused on the bigger ideas. Okay.
Yeah.
Suits. And then I'm gonna also design uh, several branding. Right.
Corbel cola,
Yeah, Corbel Cola will be the first one. If you have any
Pepsi cola.
suggestions, I'd suggest writing them down, like a list of stuff. Maybe get with your team
Yeah.
and write down like as many as you can think of, and just send them to me, like just through Skype or something,
Yeah.
and I'll just copy paste and put them in notes.
So
Several branding icons and images, because that takes time to design too, right? Like I have to actually think about how to make it look like futuristic, but at the same time sportsy.
yeah.
Uh,
At first, I was thinking that because these guys are not actually humans, why would they have branding in human languages, right? Uh, but then I realized we just have to go with it. I think we have to
maybe not.
abstract that.
Maybe not. Like if I can do it, if I do a good job, we can try to. It could look like branding. If I do a good job, you know. And
Yeah,
but you could be wrong. Or I'm sorry, I could be wrong. Not you could be wrong. I could be wrong. But the
everyone
only,
can be wrong.
yeah, but the best way to find out is to see it. And you're like, you know what? That
Yeah,
does look like Coca Cola, even though it says like in the Corval language or whatever, or in
yeah.
you know. Um,
So yeah, for me, it was okay to. I think it is okay to use English. I think it's okay if we use English if we also use other languages. If we have
okay.
some advertisement in Chinese or
Yeah.
in, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, branding looks like branding. And it might actually be better
Yeah,
just to avoid English or any other language and just use, like, the languages in this universe. Just so that way we can kind of, like, avoid any kind
well,
of.
if you think you can pull that, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because think about it. Like, if you go to, like, China, like, you don't. I'm assuming you don't speak Chinese or read Chinese. You can still tell that you're
So
looking at, like, a shampoo. You know what I mean? It's like a Chinese like the branding still. There's a very distinct look to branding. You know. And so what I'll probably do is look at languages that I have no idea what they're saying and just kind of see why I still know it's like they're trying to sell me like a pair of shoes, and just in the branding alone. Um, so I'll put like English is obviously easy to do, and any other language is pretty relatively easy because you can just Google Translate. So why don't we
hmm
just try to start off with like not doing that and just like focus on making up the language, and just
sure.
make it look like unique to the game. Design several branding icons and images, English language. Yeah, because this will be useful for me because then I can just what I'll do is I'll make a template of them, and then that way I can just literally just grab them, warp them, and put them onto the characters, and then I'll just continuously keep making new and new brands, and so maybe
Yeah.
we'll have more than a few dozen of them, and then I can just kind of rinse and repeat a lot of them over and over again, and then
Cool.
it'll be a template page too. So that means that if anyone else needs to, like for whatever reason, we need more art to be done, or we need other artists, or you need other artists to work on this, you'll have that
hmm
PSD that you can give to them and say, look, this is like the branding, like all these things. Just like copy paste it. You can repurpose them on the game boards. You can put them on other cards that are maybe not character cards. Like it'll be
Yeah.
multi used. So that means I have to probably get back into Illustrator if I want to make them genuinely good. I don't want to, but I'll try to do it on Photoshop. But I'll try to make them pretty large or vector based, so that way that you guys can use them however you want.
So one thing, you were talking about making the silhouettes for the different species and so on. And we actually, I was thinking, I wanted to show you something. So
Yeah, let me see.
I think the corvo shape is the hardest to get right. And I wanted to make a couple of comments so we can get it proper. As you can see here, the legs are not actually, they're like almost like,
They're like popping out, right?
yes, they're a little bit like an inset, that the different parts are not smooth.
Yeah.
As you can see here, I think that is important. That's an important look for the corvo, because
Right now it's more human based.
yeah, I think this guy is a little bit more human than he should.
Okay. Yeah, you know what, man? This is like
If I see the top half, yeah, this guy's a corvo. If I look at the the bottom half, I'm not sure. I think giving it like, yeah, making those alien features more how do you say this, more
exaggerated.
visible, yeah. I think that helps.
Okay. I'm gonna do this, man. I think I'm gonna push those features. I think what I'm gonna do is like I'll take that sheet again and I'm gonna literally exaggerate that. I'm not gonna make it cartoon version, but I'm definitely gonna make it a little bit more like clear. You know?
And they are a little bit humpy. Like they're a little bit, maybe you can tell there. But yeah, so I think because you were talking about about making these silhouettes for the different species,
Yeah.
so I wanted to mention that.
Okay. So let's actually before I let you go, let us talk about some stuff. Let's talk about what you think would be the main features. So the Corval, what do we think again? We think like protruded or like expanded hips.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like an insect's anatomy here, like the
Insect base.
the
Okay.
hip kind of ends up here, like
Perhaps more lumpy. Okay.
the double chin. The double chin is really important for.
Double chin.
Double chin.
That's reptile-like toes.
You can also tell. Well, we won't see their faces most of the time because they will have suits. But can you see that their teeth
Uh-huh.
are not actually? They don't have lips.
No lips. That's interesting. No lips. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good for now. I want to not to get too many things, because then the too many ideas may make me not. It might make them all look the same again. I want to try to stick on those major. Those are huge concepts, right? Like those big ideas. Like the hips is a big one, and insect based is a pretty big one too. And maybe focusing on the double chins, like they could put that in the helmet somehow. That'd be great.
Uh-huh.
And then they got dreads too, which is cool. All right, so what's the next? Who do we want to do next?
Itko.
Isco? Okay, let's do that.
So the Itko don't actually have a nose per se.
Nose.
Their skin is a little bit like a dolphin's.
Okay.
But again, they're quite humanoid.
Yeah,
But they do
they
have
they have a tail.
they have a tail and they have a tendril.
Large.
They don't have hair, They have
Tendrils.
like this tendril coming out of
Yeah.
the back of their heads.
Okay. And I would say maybe we can make them longer, like make them taller, like leaner and
Yeah, they're leaner. They're
longer.
not taller than a human, but they're leaner than a human.
Leaner. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I can focus on those ideas for now. I'll try to think of more too. I'm gonna try to like so for instance like those tendrils might be the tendrils in the tail might be huge features that I might expand on their suits.
Yeah.
So that way we can make sure that no one gets them confused with humans at all.
Yeah.
And then what was the other race? It was like the more brutish race again. What are they called again?
Well, we have the humans, and then we have the Rah. The Rah are these guys.
Okay.
So they also have tendrils, but they come from the sides. They have instead
Uh,
of one large
Side.
one that is almost like a ponytail, right? They have
Okay.
a couple of them coming from the back of the chin.
Side
Actually,
tendrils.
let me go to my files. Uh, they have this mouth that is almost like a pit, an abyssum.
Pit. Okay.
You can see in that one, and you can also see it
Flank.
in
Flank.
this one. Well, they all have these helmets and stuff. I should have asked to make a couple of naked ones. The head doesn't come from the top; it comes from the between the shoulders.
Yeah, yeah. They're more like hunched.
Yeah, so I think Grizzly looks very much like a rag. He's not mistaken it.
Okay.
They have a very large torso, smaller waist.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a little bit like a sun clock, the kind
Okay.
of shape they have. Yeah. And the feet, it's kind of funny, but if you look at the feet, they look like maybe cat feet.
Yeah, I already wrote that
Although
down.
we won't say it, but I think it's funny.
No, it is. It totally is. I already wrote down like more like legs like a tiger, and I wrote for
Yeah,
the Corval. I said like they have legs like more like reptilian, like a raptor, and that's a
yeah,
big difference there. That's enough for me to work with to make them. So that just because they both have hind legs, it's not these aren't the buffer versions of the Corvals. If that makes sense.
yeah.
So I'll try to make them pretty distinct. Do you know the artist Sean Galloway? Probably
Strong
not.
follower.
He also
If
goes
I
by
say something, maybe I'm terrible with names.
yeah, he goes by Cheeks. That's his like alias. But I'm gonna try to show you kind of like a cool style guide that I want to try to make. Something along the lines of this. With the different characters. So there's a very unique difference. Um, in terms of like the proportions and shapes, you can
Yeah,
see kind of
yeah,
like you can see the relative difference, right?
yeah.
It's very clear and very powerful to do something like this. And then you
Yeah.
have
Batman and Superman are a bit similar, but the rest are quite different. Yeah.
absolutely. Um, so here's like, and maybe like in terms of like the cool factor, like even though it's stylized, we can reach something like this. This is done by an artist named Clement Suave. He actually passed away, unfortunately, so he stopped making amazing artwork. But just to
Uh-huh.
give you kind of like the silhouette of this is very powerful, you know, and but it's like a little bit more mature as well. So we can definitely push the style is what I'm trying to get at, you know, and we can
Uh-huh.
find a middle ground where it's a little bit more. Do you get what I'm saying? Like a little bit more mature,
Yeah.
and
Well,
but it has some fun to it at least.
yeah. This is a bit comic-like, though, but
I see. Okay, let me see if I can find you. I'm more talking just about proportions.
Okay, yeah, true.
Um,
Yeah.
Less about like how it's rendered, how it's drawn.
So yeah, I think well, this guy actually reminds me of the Team Fortress team.
Yes, of course. Same
That they're
thing.
all so freaking different, right?
Yeah. So if you want to look at something like, have you seen Overwatch? I'm sure you have, because Overwatch has like the same like awesomeness about their character designs. It's like they're really clearly different. So here's like a screenshot of Overwatch. And this the audience for this again is like teenage boys and stuff. It's supposed to be a little bit like an older. I'm
Uh-huh.
you know, I'm in my 30s, so I love this game. So it obviously goes beyond teenage boys.
Uh-huh.
But you can see like each character is clearly valuably different. There's no confusing who's like a tanky
Yeah.
character at all, right? Who's like a quick character, you know. Um, and that's great. And this is like again, I'm talking more about the proportions. This is like a Street Fighter kind of approach, like looking at the characters as Street Fighter characters rather than looking at them as like generic heroes. You know, like this is like
Yeah.
a specific character, and we would push it not just only in their pose but in their actual design, like from their silhouette. So the only
I
the
like the
only
approach. Yeah.
yeah the only thing that might be difficult, I'm going to try to make sure to avoid this, is to make sure that each race can be really wildly different. So I'm going to try to find ways to think of that, like how to solve that problem. So that way we don't like make a Corval look like a Ra because I make him buffer, you know. Then all of a sudden it's really
Yeah.
hard to tell. Um, so there's got to be clever ways. Like they have to still stay like their proportions, I guess. But
Hmm.
like right off the bat, the first thing I can think of is silhouette breaking things. So if you look at like, so you look at like the characters that look very similar. For instance, like you see these two girls in the middle. There's Tracer and Widowmaker. Widowmaker is the
Yeah.
purple. Tracer is the one in the orange yellow.
Yes.
So silhouette breakers, like if you look at Tracer's gauntlets, you know they're a little bit. They have like this protruding shape from it. Her sleeves also have protruding shapes, where her pants do
Uh-huh.
not. Her haircut is different. These like subtleties make a big difference in terms of their pose, obvious, but those things, well, no matter how they're posed, you can tell that that's always Tracer because of that distinct silhouette change, right?
We also have to remember that the art will have color, but the miniatures will not.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying.
So
So
we cannot use color as the differentiator.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We had to use silhouette breaking tools, like the gauntlet on Tracer, which is the yellow pants. I'm just saying yellow pants so that way because you can't see what I'm pointing at, so I have to tell you who I'm looking
Yeah.
at. And then like the purple chick with her visor on her head, and then also her boots. Like all that stuff matters. It's very subtle, but it's very helpful. And obviously the pose will be a big thing too. But what I'll do, for instance, so if we have like 5 different human characters, so they don't all look the same. Like one human might have like this huge shoulder pad like armor that resembles
Hmm.
like a turret or something, but it's not a turret, but it's just maybe like a thing that catches debris and shoots it as as like some sort of like fog or mist to deter enemies or something. But we could say, oh, that's the guy because he's got the fog or mister thing on. He's a human
Yeah.
because he's got basic human proportions. He doesn't have any tails. He doesn't have any tendrils. He doesn't have like weird popped out hips. You know, so we know
Yeah.
it's a human, and he has the crop dusting tool, right? And then that's the best way outside of their just general proportions. Their general proportions, I think, will be the salvation to determining who their race is. But we need to do stuff that will push their silhouette, so that way we know what their role is and who they
Yeah.
are. So I'll do that all in the style sheet. So that way I'll show you like kind of just a generic base, and then I'll show you how we can make that generic base look like a bunch of different characters, just in silhouettes. And then I'll show you like a color variation. We'll talk about that when you look at
Cool.
it. But this is all good. I think human is pretty basic. I don't think we need to talk about that, right? Humans are just relatively just humans wearing this space stuff.
Yeah. They're a bit buffer than
Okay, they're
normal
basic
humans.
stuff, but a bit more shredded.
Yeah,
They
humans
they
have
all
been
work out.
a little bit. Eh?
They all work out.
They all work out. Yeah, they are bred to be killing machines.
like Spartans from Halo, right? They're like really really tough. Okay.
Mm.
All right, I think this is good. So going back, just retract what I'm going to do then. So the first thing is I am going to explore more of the game rather than just designing individuals. So creating a style guide. That's my goal for next turn in. And right now the keywords that I kind of heard is like more attractive and more pop, sports look, more advertisement type thing, like it's like a sport, right? So my goal is to kind of take those things into consideration. I'm going to design the 4 races individually as a way to have us to determine their major features. I'm also going to help try to design some branding icons and images. English language will be considered, but I'll try to avoid it. And then I'm also going to
Yeah.
do stylistic aesthetic. So I'm going to design like there's the style, of the game potentially. Like I'll show you a couple of images of what I think it could look like. They look too different. Like for instance, right now you only see one kind of style. You've been seeing kind of like the faith style, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to show you like what if it is a little bit more drawn, like with a little bit more proportion pushed. What if I drew it with lines and some texture? What if I drew it like, and then you can just be the judge of like, you know what, this actually does look kind of cool. It looks like it'll fun. Or no, I still like this aesthetic. Because I can still apply
Sounds
this.
exciting.
Yeah, I can still apply this to whatever. And then I just got notes for each individual race to help me kind of make sure that this happens. So I think I'm going to be submitting maybe 3 pages of stuff. I think 1 page will be the character silhouettes and how I will be able to design them differently. And then
Mm-hmm.
one will be with like branding and advertisements and stuff like that. And then one will be just kind of style pitches. And then it's going to
Yeah.
incorporate the first 2, like the aesthetics of the characters, to the branding, and I'm going to put it all together, just like with 1 or 2 images, just so we can see it, take a look. And they're just going to be generic. I'm not going to look at any of the previous character designs that you talked about, so maybe we can use them. You can we can repurpose them if
Yes,
they're
that
good.
was very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can repurpose them if they're any good.
They're very early sketches, so I think it's very easy to
Okay, cool.
push them in any direction.
All right, and I think I could get that to you at least by Friday. I'm going to try to get you, because I'm going to work on stuff today. I don't really have much to do today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just do that today, and then maybe have it by Thursday. But I will say safely Friday, so that way I
Okay.
can make sure I do a good job and give you guys all the stuff you guys can look at and be like, okay, let's do this instead.
Did we do a meeting for it, or
Uh, I know you said Tuesday, Thursday works better.
I'm okay with Friday.
Okay,
I mean, I'm very interested in seeing where we take
okay.
this. So yeah.
So whenever I turn it in, so maybe I'll turn it in on Thursday night, confirming that we'll
Mm-hmm.
do it Friday, or Wednesday night, so we can confirm that we're doing Thursday. The night that I do,
Yeah.
the day of, will be followed.
Mm.
That should be simple. Okay, so it's either Thursday or Friday, no later than Friday. Okay.
Cool.
All right, man.
It's okay. Late on in Friday. It's okay. We can do it. We can do the meeting again on Tuesday or Monday.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know if something like that happens. I doubt it, but sometimes it does. And yeah, cool. Well, this is a great meeting. I think this was a good motion in the right direction.
Yeah.
This is better to catch earlier than later, so it's good. So let's go ahead and get that started. All right.
Cool.
All right.
And before we cut, I want to apologize for that terrible joke in the middle of it.
Don't worry. I'm gonna actually not edit it out, and I'm gonna put the troll face over your head.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. But anyways, thanks guys for everyone who's watching. Yeah, peace out. Thanks again, Carlos, for everything. You guys are awesome. Love working with you guys. All right.